What's up, everyone? Welcome back to our first intro to blank racing series of the Track Talk Season 2. Today, we're going to be covering Formula E. My dear friend, Emma, my co-host, my lovely co-host, did all the research for this one during the Christmas break. I am merely a listener.
Yeah.
I'm going to say nothing. And you guys are probably like, yeah, we're done hearing your voice. So
No.
I know nothing about FE. I know that the
do
cars
that.
are a lot quieter,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that it's Formula Electric.
Yep.
So other than that, I know nothing. I don't know any of the teams. I don't know any of the rules. But I'm really excited to get into it. So without further ado, Emma, take it away.
Amazing. Yeah, so Formula E started Friday.
Yeah.
Like this last Friday. First race was in Mexico. Before we jump into it, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. Like, we're YouTubers now. We got to get that in there. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, however you listen, if you like these episodes, if you like listening to us, if you're happy that Track Talk is back, just feel free to give us 5-star rating. It does actually help us out a lot. And with that being said, let's jump into intro to Formula E. You ready?
I'm so ready.
If you have any questions, just cut me off.
Yep, I will.
Okay.
No, I'll raise my hand.
That's so nice of you.
Respect.
So Formula E, it's just another single-seater racing series, like IndyCar, like Formula One, but it's the only electric series. And it's typically on street circuits. Some exceptions. It started in 2014, and you know how Formula One is aiming to be net zero by 2030, 2035, whatever it is? Formula E has always been net zero.
Yeah.
So they have emission-free racing across the globe. I think it's funny, they call it the planet's favorite sport. And it took me a second to be like, no, but the planet, yes. But I was like, no, it's not everyone's favorite sport. But just the wording kind of messed me up a little bit. By the way, I'm not a professional in Formula E. If I am wrong on anything, politely correct me. Don't make me cry.
Politely.
I can take criticism. I can't take bullying. So if anything is wrong, let me know. I did this research. I haven't done research since I was in college, so this could be wrong. So the car manufacturers for Formula E will develop technology for their cars that you end up seeing in road cars. So they kind of go hand in hand. 11 teams, 22 drivers. So just one more than Formula One. Okay. This is kind of all over the place, but just bear with me. I tried to organize it, but I'm not professional. So there's 17 races this year, including double headers. And we don't see that in Formula One, but we do see that in IndyCar, which means 2 races over the course of a weekend. And the car used in Formula E is called the Gen 3. So the car itself, the chassis, the aero setup, the battery, and related bits are...
Related bits.
That's what it says. Related bits to like anything that goes with the battery, the aero, the base. It's all spec. So it's all the same. Right. And that's for reduced costs. And then anything else, so the motor, gearbox, suspension, they are team specific. Yeah. Similar to Indy, where they have to pull from the same manufacturer. And that just means that these cars are more on even playing grounds. Mm-hmm. It's not the teams creating each individual part of the car. They only create bits. Mm-hmm. I thought this was interesting. In the first season, the electric motors were provided by McLaren in every car. But then since then, there's been other brands that have entered and built power units like Audi, BMW, Jaguar, Mercedes, Porsche. What is it?
People say both.
Okay, great. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. I do want to get more into like how the car works, but I don't want to lose everyone right off the bat. So I'll save that for later. The weekend schedule. There's a practice on the Friday, 30-minute practice session. And then everything takes place on the Saturday. So they have another practice session in the morning. They have qualifying, and then they have the race. And it's all basically on one day. If it's a double header, it's the same thing. It's practice Friday, practice quali race, and then Sunday practice quali race. So it's more condensed.
It's a lot of racing in one day.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But the races are also shorter. They don't do pit stops, which I thought that was interesting.
The tires don't need changing?
Nope, they don't do pit stops.
Interesting.
Yeah. So same as F1, the points are the same. So first place gets 25, down to 10th place getting 1 point. And there's driver championship, and then there's the constructors championship. So I'm really hoping you guys know what Formula One is if you're listening to this. I would assume that you do. Also the same, you get an extra point for having fastest lap, but additionally, you get 3 points for having pole position.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool. And the way that they do qualifying is so interesting. I didn't watch it, but I wish I had. I only watched the race. So the grid is split into 2 groups. We see that also in IndyCar. And it's usually based off their world championship position at the start of the year. I don't really know how that works, but 2 groups. And then they have a 10-minute session to set the fastest lap. The top 4 from each group go on to the duels stage. And they quite literally go head to head in like a bracket system after that.
Wait, I kind of love that.
No, I love it. Like, it's so fun. It's so, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to insert a picture of like how that looks. So there's quarterfinals, 4 groups of 2 go and head to head. After quarterfinals, semifinals, the 4 fastest from the first, I feel like everyone knows how quarterfinals, I would hope you know. And then the last stage, the finals, the 2 fastest drivers head to head. And I didn't understand it at first. I thought it just meant like the fastest 8 go out together and then the fastest 4. But no, like it's quite literally head to head battles, which is.
So how long do they have to set? Is it just 1 lap and 1 lap? You have to do a pace lap.
I believe it's a pace lap and then 1 lap.
Because you can't throw them out there for 5 minutes at a time.
No. So it says quarterfinals last for 15 minutes, like total.
Oh.
So there's 4 groups that have to go in those 15 minutes, I would assume. I don't think that they have 15 minutes each to set the lap.
Right.
Unless I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't know everything. This is just what I found out.
That sounds like a long time.
Yeah, right? Because that would be like an hour to get through quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And that's too much.
Yeah.
The race is an hour sometimes. Okay. So the grid, we have obviously the first 8 are set up. And then after that, the corresponding drivers. Okay, I'm going to restart. So let's say a driver from Group A got pole position. So the corresponding drivers from all of Group A, the pole sitters group, line up in the odd spots. So there's the top 8 that went to the duels, and then 9th, 11th, 13th, so forth. Group B will fill the even slots. So
okay.
Yeah, it's just it's the pole sitter that decides.
Okay.
Race day, they have a standing start, but they start further back from their starting positions, and then they move forward into their starting grid. Why? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't really know, but it happens. And they have a predetermined number of laps, but they can add laps because I know. So if there's a safety car, yellow flag, red flag, they add laps, or they don't always, but they can to, I don't know why. But I think just to make sure the race isn't interrupted, like they want these drivers to finish their full.
So is it like if it's a close race, they'll add, and if it's not really close at all, then they'll just let it end?
No, it's based off safety cars or yellow flags, or if there's
a
race interruption, they'll add laps.
Say like, I'm speaking in F1 terms, but say like Max Verstappen has a 20-second lead, but there's a red flag. Would we add those laps? We wouldn't, like, would they not add those laps back because the race is already like pretty much decided? No, like how do they decide whether they add them or not?
They would still add them, probably.
So when would they not add them?
If there is no yellow flag, red flag, safety car.
But you're saying that they sometimes add them and they sometimes don't.
Mm-hmm. It's the FIA that decides. I don't know.
Okay.
But they have to announce it 3 laps before in Mexico, there were 35 laps. And then at lap 32, they were like, we're adding 2. And so it was 37. But
it's like stoppage time in soccer, which you don't understand.
I was like,
a lot of you do.
Sorry, I don't know that. There's usually an hour given for the race. That's usually how long it takes. And then based off safety car, any interruptions, then they add the lap. This is cool. This is what we've talked about this before. We briefly mentioned it. Remember how I think in one of our last episodes, I talked about how there was like a boost for Formula E cars that if they get off the racing line, they can activate this boost. It's called attack mode, which is so cool. They have to drive off the racing line, and it's literally just like a stretch of, it's usually around a corner or a turn. They go through the special activation zone is what it's called, which is unique for each circuit. And
so it's like a DRS zone, like where you can use it.
Yeah. Because it's only at certain parts during the lap or on the track. And so as a reward for taking a slower line through the corner, they collect an extra 50 kilowatts of power for a limited amount of time, published by the FIA pre-race. So drivers can choose to get that extra speed to help them race faster and give them an edge against their competitors. But that's also risky because you're going off the racing line, which
track might not be as,
So you can use their attack mode. Drivers can use their attack mode twice. And they have to decide if they're going to do an even split. So from what I saw, they had 4 minutes of attack mode. So it was like 1 minute the first time, 3 minutes the second time, or 2 and 2, or 3 and 1. And I think that's predetermined, or it's decided like before they go into attack mode what they want to do. However, in Jakarta at the E-Prix last year, they changed it so it was 8 minutes of attack mode. And in Mexico, it was also 8 minutes of attack mode. So I don't know if they've just like upped it permanently, or if this was a one-off for the start of the season, or if it's something that's predetermined before the start of each race. So it's going to say, if you're watching the race, it's going to say attack, like on the little table, like on the side, and it counts down. And that's how much time that these drivers have left with that extra 50 kilowatts of power.
But you can only use it in certain spots in the...
No, so you can only activate it during certain spots, but then you carry that extra power for however long you want. 4 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Amazing. This might change. They have talked about doing an attack charge and having drivers have to pit for 30 seconds to have the charge during a pit stop, and then they can activate attack mode. They want to introduce this in April at what race? In Italy for round 6 and 7. I don't understand how that's going to work because these drivers don't necessarily have to pit they don't need to pit.
Right.
That's not a thing. And so I don't know if it's going to actually be beneficial because they're losing out on 30 seconds as opposed to going off the racing line when it's risky, but they don't lose 30 seconds. But they might not be able to use attack mode unless they go in for attack charge in the pit stop.
I wonder if it gives them a higher kilowatt boost if they charge up.
It's still saying 50, like an extra 50.
Okay.
So
there's really no there's nothing.
It's more entertaining to see who actually goes in for the pit stop.
Who takes the risks, right?
But with the introduction of pit stops, teams are not allowed to double stack as they are in Formula One. This was interesting. They used to have a fan boost, which means fans during the race.
Okay, wait, I knew this.
Fans during the race could vote on which driver they wanted to give the extra energy to, power to. They don't do that anymore. I don't know why, but they don't.
The Nick DeVries days, that's when...
Yeah.
That's the last time I kind of paid attention.
They had a fan boost.
Yeah.
Interestingly, pole position, I feel like this goes with Formula One too, but they use the most energy. Like they're the ones punching the hole in the air. Everyone else is in their slipstream behind them for the most part. So not everyone wants to be pole. Like, yeah, you get those extra 3 points, but you're using so much more power right off the bat that it's almost not worth it.
Well, first and second both would, really.
Yeah. A lot of drivers will choose to use attack mode right away to try and get an advantage, to try and gain spots earlier on in the race. I noticed that when I was watching Mexico, almost all drivers chose to go for the attack right away. So I feel like it's like you want your strategy to be comparable to the cars around you. A lot of drivers will do the same thing. I think that's it for like they don't have pit stops, which I thought was weird. But it makes sense because they're not just managing the tires, they're managing the power,
right?
Like the battery. I really, really hope I don't lose people here, but I think I might. I'm going to explain how the battery works because when they start the race, they only have enough battery power to make it about 70% of the race, and they need to make up 30% during the race. So that is where the Kinetic energy recovery system comes in, and we see that in Formula One as well. So Formula E cars, they work like any other electric road vehicle. So there's a battery pack, which provides power. There's an inverter, which takes the electricity created by the battery. It converts it from a direct current to an alternating current, which is a charge. The motor uses this power to drive the transmission, and the transmission transfers the energy generated by the engine to the wheels. That's a lot. And I'm so sorry if I've lost some people there because I hate science. And
You like nearly lost me.
I know, this is a lot. So the electric motor, and we see this in Formula One with their hybrid system, it houses the regenerative braking mechanism, which is when pressure is taken off the accelerator and the brakes are applied, slows the vehicle down, converting its kinetic energy into electricity, which recharges the battery.
Okay.
So essentially when you brake, it takes that energy and it literally just goes back into the battery. And I don't really know how else to explain it because I hate science and this is really confusing. So the recovered energy is stored for later use under acceleration. So these drivers can't just give 100% all the time because then they don't have any more energy to pull from. And we see that in Formula One as well. So the hybrid system, it started in 2009 and a lot of teams actually hated it. They didn't want to do it, or they like chose not to until 2013 when it was mandatory. And so we see like is it KERS or KERS? I know people call it something else. KERS, and then also the engine recovery system, but Formula E doesn't have that because they don't have an engine. Have I lost you?
No.
Okay. Anyway, so during a race, that's how they re-get that power is by braking. And you see that in regular cars too. That's it. That's science. I don't understand it. I'm sure there's engineering students who are listening to this right now and saying,
punching their steering wheel.
They're probably just like, what the fuck is she talking about right
100%.
now?
100%.
I have tried to do my research. That was a lot. And I'm really sorry if I've butchered that. Essentially, all you need to know is that when these drivers brake, that
they're conserving energy.
Yes. Yeah. And they can reuse that energy. Mm-hmm. And that's how they make up that extra 30%. Ta-da. Yeah, because during like the last 2 laps, they were down to like 2% energy. Because it also shows in
So is that where you want to be? Like, do you want to be near the end?
Yeah.
And it does show you like percentage-wise where everyone's at?
Yeah.
Okay.
So towards the end of the race, they start showing it. And then you can see it go down and then back up slightly when they're braking. Like it's pretty interesting. I want to talk about some drivers and some teams.
Please do.
Okay. So these teams are going to sound familiar because we see them in other motorsport series. DS Penske. So I'm going to butcher some of these names. I'm so sorry. Stoffel Van Dorn was a McLaren driver.
Yeah.
So he's now Formula E. He left at the end of 2018 and we saw Lando and Carlos take over. Jean-Eric Verne from France. He's also Penske. Jake Dennis. Do you know that name?
Did he podium this weekend?
No.
Okay.
But he did win Formula E last year with Andretti Global.
Okay.
He didn't even make it into the duels for qualifying, unfortunately.
Okay.
So not like a great start. He's a Red Bull simulator driver.
Okay.
And he had mentioned, he was talking about the RB20. And he said, we've got an extremely fast car for the Red Bull team. I would expect us to become champions again this year. He said it's probably going to be quite a dull season in Formula One with Max dominating. So Jake Dennis has said this.
Damn, again?
Yeah.
I can't do that again.
I mean, but Jake's not a Formula One driver.
Yeah.
He's a simulator driver.
Yeah.
So he knows what he's talking about, but he's not the one actually in the car.
I'm actually just going to pull my phone out while you're talking so I can just look these guys up so I can put a face to the name.
Okay. Because
I assume when you do the YouTube editing, you'll just insert like a quick pic.
Probably. I'll try. Nick DeVries, we all know and love him. He started last for the Mexico Grand Prix.
So he's back?
He's back. He's Formula E. He's also WEC. He's doing both.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I knew he was in WEC, but I didn't know that he went back to FE. Okay.
Yeah. Different team, but he is back with Formula E. And I had wrote he finished 15th, but I had wrote that when there was still like 10 laps left. And I didn't need to change it. So I was like, oh.
So what team is he on?
Mahindra Racing.
Oh.
Oh. We didn't talk about that.
No, but we'll get into it.
Okay.
We'll wait till your little recap's over.
Okay.
I've never heard that team of that team in my life till this past week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Nick is racing for, God, I think that's how you pronounce it, Mahindra Racing. We have some things to say about them, but we'll wait. Just because I'm looking out for the girlies here. Pascal Verlin, he's very hot. So David Coulthard was at the Formula E race this weekend.
This guy's so your type.
Pascal.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so my type, like to a T. But David this weekend was interviewing him, and as he was walking me, I was like, he's a handsome man. Like, he is a very handsome man. Pascal raced in Formula One. He actually raced for Sauber.
Oh,
Sauber.
really?
Yeah. And Manor. Anyway, so he's a name that I'm sure some people know. But yeah, now he races for the Porsche, however you want to say it, Formula E team. And he won yesterday. He got pole position and he managed to hold on. There was a point where Sebastian Buemi, I think that's how you pronounce it, who was second, overtook first for a little bit, but he managed to get it back. So I'm not saying that this is like someone we have to watch out for, because I don't know these drivers. I don't know their skill level.
Right,
but
and it's the first race this season.
First race this season. Funny, there is another Maximilian in Formula E.
I can't go back there. Like Max Emilian?
Yeah. No, his name is actually Maximilian. Like, that's his full name. This I thought was really interesting. So I was talking to our friend Jill, because she asked me what team I was looking, like, kind of rooting for, because this is the first time I've ever watched Formula E. And I'm not going to lie, Jaguar Racing, TCS Racing, I'm kind of living for it right now. So there's two drivers, Mitch Evans and Nick Cassidy. They're both from New Zealand.
Nick Cassidy podiumed this weekend.
Yes.
Right.
So they're both from New Zealand. Mitch Evans had raced for Jaguar last year, and Nick Cassidy raced for Envision Racing.
Okay.
And it was down to the wire for those two last year. They were rivals, pretty much, with a 2-point difference between them. Nick finishing with 199 and Mitch finishing with 197. And now they have to work together.
Now they're teammates?
Now they're teammates.
Okay.
But it was like a fierce rivalry last year between them in the point standings. So I'm excited to see how they work together. They did pretty good this weekend. I know Nick Cassidy podiumed. I think Mitch Evans, I think he got 5th. Like, I think he wasn't too far behind. But I'm living for that. Even though there's nothing there to be living for yet, I'm kind of living for it.
No, I love it.
Right?
It would be like
if you put Lewis and Fernando.
I was literally going to say, it would be like if you put K-Megs and Nico on a team together.
They are?
Yeah, but they were rivals.
Yeah, that's fair. But like being so close in the point standing, I would say, like, remember, you know how last year it was Fernando and Lewis?
Yeah.
That were super close? It would be like putting them on a team together this year. Like, Fernando all of a sudden made the switch to Mercedes, and now they have to race together. Anyway, the stands were absolutely packed in Mexico. Like, everyone. That's
awesome.
Like, obviously, if there's a huge racing, like a motorsport race happening wherever, I'm sure it's pretty popular, but I didn't realize how busy it would be. So it's so exciting to see. I do want to add that people are not happy with the streaming of it.
Where did you watch it? TSN?
I watched it on TSN, and
Plus, or is it on like cable?
It's on cable.
Okay.
It is on TSN Plus, but you have to pay an extra for TSN Plus, and I just log into my parents' cable.
No, I know.
To watch it. And I guess last year and years previous, it was on Eurosport in the UK. And now it is not. It is now being taken over by TNT, which is a different.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess the fee for that is like €30 monthly.
Because TNT is an American broadcast, I believe, because they do NBA and NHL.
Regardless, people are not happy. Any like promoting of Formula E, people are in the comments being like, this is the first year I'm not watching. You make it impossible to watch. Like, why would you do this? And I understand having to pay to watch, but I do think €30
a month is actually crazy.
Insane. When I was paying for TSN Plus, it was like $10 a month. I pay annually for Formula One, which is like 90 Canadian a month,
for a year.
90 a year, which makes sense. Like, it's good. So I don't understand the pricing to be able to watch Formula E. And like, if you're like me, all you watch is motorsports, like why would I pay $30 just for this one sport? Like it doesn't.
Well, it's not doing it any favors, because when F2, F3, and F1 and F1 Academy are on one streaming platform, then
I know, and I don't understand why it's not.
It's a Formula series.
It is. It's an FIA governed series,
so it should be on F1 TV.
But they have their agreement with TNT that they're not going to go to F1 TV anytime soon. And they were never on F1 TV, but at least before it was easier to watch. And I think this has completely screwed over trying to get a new audience in, because it's hard to watch.
Right.
Like it was hard. I honestly didn't know if I'd be able to, because I don't pay for TSM Plus anymore.
Yeah.
And then I realized I could use the cable.
Yeah.
But not everyone pays for cable.
Right.
And especially in Canada, in the States, like it's not the easiest to watch. And especially now I know in the UK, also not the easiest to watch. And so I'm so sorry for people that reach out and they're asking like, how do I watch it? What do I do? It's like, you have to pay. Like you need to.
Or if any of our besties from Europe want to tell us where, if you were able to watch it, how you were able to watch it, where you were able to watch it, then we can put that out to the masses, as long as it's not illegal.
Yeah, it can't be illegal.
We can put you in contact with someone who can tell you, though.
Right.
Right.
But I think that partnering with TNT is a bit of a mistake. Formula E has partnered with content creators this year. So James, the comedian, Michaela, she loves F1, Caroline, F1 Caroline, like they are all
Manvi
as well,
Females in
Motorsport. So they're all going to FE races this year. Like they are creating content for their followers, and now their followers are like, wait, but how do we watch?
Right.
And I just don't think
and especially
that was thought out.
Especially, I know that Manvi covers all racing series, but Michaela's, it's in the name. Like she loves Formula One. So like a lot of her fans did come to her because of Formula One. And James makes a lot of like Formula One and IndyCar content. So yeah, for those people who are used to like having a racing series kind of like right in front of them, it would be super tough to like try to convert them to a new racing series that they can't watch very like easily.
I love that they're working with these content creators. They didn't really think it through to like bringing in a new audience. Like you're missing a step there. Like
right, like I love working right.
These content creators can only do so much.
Right. They can promote your series as much as they can, but they still need like their followers still need somewhere to watch it. So yeah, okay. It's a little frustrating.
It's a little frustrating. Similar to F1, the teams must field at least 2 rookie drivers during an FP1 during the season.
Okay.
So we see that with Formula One, they'll have like their reserve driver or a rookie come in for a session. Formula E has to do that as well. During the race, I thought this was interesting. And I don't know if Formula One does this. I don't think they do. But Scott Elkins, the race director, FIA race director, actually spoke to all the drivers during the race through the headset.
Okay.
There was a crash at turn 17, and he said it went through to all the drivers on the radio: stay hard right through 17, car in the middle of the road, like take a hard right through 17, like making sure that that information was to all the drivers and not relying on the team principals to get that information out there. Like it was
I kind of appreciate that.
FIA racing director that made that information. So I thought that was cool. So that is Formula E in a nutshell. The next race is, I meant to look it up and then I forgot. January 26th and 27th is a double header.
It's in Saudi Arabia.
In Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fun.
That's Formula E.
Remember that race days on Saturdays?
Yeah.
This is going to be tough for me to watch.
Sometimes Sundays too, if it's double
If it's a double header, right. It's going to be tough for me to watch because I have Sundays so that I don't work on Sundays so I can watch sports. And Saturdays,
you work.
Throws me off a little bit because I do work, but I will try. Because it's from Saudi Arabia, it might be at like super early or super late for us. So
probably.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I don't know. I guess I just have to figure out like who I want to root for.
I love the McLaren FE team as well. I love that McLaren is just
What
everywhere.
are their names once more?
Yeah, so Jake Hughes and Sam Bird.
Okay.
Is on the McLaren FE team. So there's less races than the Formula One calendar, and that means these drivers can do other things. So a lot of these drivers are also reserve drivers or test drivers, or like Nick DeVries, I said he's going to WEC. So but WEC is also very, very spread out. So a lot of times they will, like the WEC drivers will do other things. But yeah.
Okay, cool.
That is Formula E. I apologize if I got some things wrong. I'm sorry about trying to explain science. I hated science in school. So, like, I think that was physics. I never took physics. All I know is that when they break, they save energy, or they converts back into power.
Mm-hmm. I think that came across very clear. That was good.
God,
Thanks,
I
Sam.
hope so. I'm so sorry. Let's talk about Mahindra.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So Mahindra is a Formula E team, and they decided to hire an AI content creator for the team instead of working with an actual physical female content creator.
Yes.
A lot of backlash
because she was a
AI.
She's female AI creator,
and it's like there are hundreds of other motorsports content creators you could work with, and you're gonna go with someone who's not even real. I don't know. They got a lot of backlash, rightfully so, and they decided to scrap it.
Did they scrap it? Because their statement, okay, I wasn't sure. Their statement was kind of open. It just sounded like they heard our feedback, but they weren't going to do anything about it. But maybe
they scrapped it, I think. From what they posted, it seems like they have decided not to go forward with the AI content creator, which makes sense. I don't know why they would do that. Yeah.
It's
weird. I love using ChatGPT. AI is great for some things, but not why you're taking positions away or opportunities away from people that deserve it because there's a robot who can do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. There's just so many amazing female content creators in motorsports, and there's not a lot of opportunity. So for this opportunity, it's one opportunity this team wants to use a content creator to be taken by an AI content creator is honestly a slap in the face to a lot of females, I would say.
Yeah. So, or
just content creators in general, because that's a job that any content creator could take.
Yeah. That's Formula E.
Weird track talk.
That's it.
Well, I don't know.
I guess we can end it there. If I'm wrong about some things or I've got some things wrong, just send me a message. I'm still learning the sport too.
Yeah, if you're a longtime FE fan, reach out.
Let us know how this sport works. Anything that we're missing, anything that's important.
I'm kind of in on their quality.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's cool. It wasn't, the race itself was entertaining. It wasn't very long.
So how long does a race usually last? You said around an hour?
About an hour.
Okay, It is a quick race.
Yeah. But I guess that's why they have everything on one day, because they have the time for it. Yeah. Oh, when Formula E first started, they had to switch cars. The battery wouldn't last long enough for a race, and so they would have to come in and switch into a brand new car.
Oh, what?
These drivers would have two cars.
It's a pit stop, but
they full on just change cars.
Okay, that's super interesting. That also is not very
it's strange.
It doesn't sound super efficient, so I'm glad that they changed that. But
literally, there's just clips of them running out of a car and running into a new one. So anyway, we've improved after 10 years. We've come a long way.
So I guess for our Formula One fans who are trying to get into it, some familiar faces that we've noted. So if you need an immediate person to root for, Mr. Nicky is there.
Mm-hmm. It's nice to see him back in the car.
Yeah, but
so he went from 22nd to 15th. There were 4 retirements, but still. We shall see. We'll keep up with it. Our focus is still Formula 1 and IndyCar, but, we're trying to expand a little bit, and we hope you guys expand.
Oh my God, no. I could not watch 4 racing series in one weekend, so we'll just keep up with it when we can.
Yeah. But it's exciting to watch, exciting to learn a little bit more. Stay tuned for our next intro episodes. Intro to WEC, intro to Indy, coming up eventually. But that was intro to Formula E.
And we are Track Talk.
Ka-chow for now.